What if one bad call in the ninth inning could be erased in about 15 seconds? That's exactly what Major League Baseball is betting on with its new automated ball strike system, approved by the Joint Competition Committee for the 2026 season. Here's how it works. Human umpires will still call every pitch in real time, but each team will get 2 challenges per game to trigger an ABS review. Those decisions flash instantly on the stadium video board for everyone to see. The bigger story? This rule isn't just about fixing calls. It's about balancing player preferences, technological accuracy, and fan engagement. And that balance starts with one critical choice. Why didn't baseball go fully automated? Most fans, when they hear robot umpires, imagine every pitch being judged by a computer with zero human say. But that wasn't the outcome players wanted. Across multiple years of testing, in independent leagues as early as 2019, moving up through Low A in 2021, AAA in 2022, 23, even spring training and the All-Star game, feedback consistently showed players leaning toward a selective challenge system instead of handing control of every pitch to automation. Commissioner Rob Manfred has openly said this preference drove the league's decision. The logic behind that preference makes sense. Big league umpires already call pitches with about 94% accuracy, according to ump scorecards. That left room for improvement, but not enough for most players to trade away the nuances that set baseball apart. Catchers pointed out that pitch framing, the subtle art of presenting a borderline pitch to look more convincing, would all but vanish if the strike zone became machine only. Framing isn't just cosmetic, it can decide close counts and change the shape of an at-bat. Pitchers worried too, questioning whether the careful sequencing of pitches, designed to exploit a human umpire's perception, would still matter if judgment left the equation. Hitters, for their part, valued pacing. They didn't want every borderline call frozen by a machine, draining away the energy of those split-second confrontations at the plate. Accuracy mattered, but players wanted it balanced with rhythm, strategy, and the human element. Instead of full automation, players pushed for a hybrid model, a challenge system. Under this format, the umpire calls the game as usual, but each team has 2 chances per game to challenge a pitch. If that challenge is successful, the team keeps it, and if the game heads into extra innings, 1 more is added. It puts choice directly in the hands of the pitcher, catcher, or batter, who can signal for review with a simple tap of the helmet or cap. That signal not only activates the technology, but also introduces a visible moment of strategy. Imagine this: bases loaded, 2 outs, and a full count. The catcher taps his helmet before the crowd realizes what's happening. In seconds, the video board shows the precise path of the pitch, either confirming the strikeout or forcing in a run. That motion isn't random. It becomes as tactical as calling for a steal. Players get to preserve the drama of human officiating, but they have a safety net ready if a crucial call looks wrong. Manfred has framed it as technology on the players' terms, not technology imposed on them. By listening to their feedback, the league prevented a complete break from tradition and kept the essence of the sport intact. It's a compromise born of testing, strategy, and trust. But for it to succeed, the system's credibility depends on something else entirely: the technology itself. Picture this: a baseball flying at nearly 100 miles per hour, tracked with enough precision that its path is plotted within 1/6 of an inch. That accuracy comes from Hawkeye, the technology powering MLB's automated ball strike system. With 12 high-speed cameras installed in every stadium, the system works much like the line calling in tennis, but baseball adds a wrinkle. Its strike zone isn't fixed. Every batter brings a new challenge. To make the system fair, MLB went through the process of certifying each player's official height, creating strike zones calibrated to the individual. The top of the zone is locked at 53.5% of a batter's height, the bottom at 27%, and the call isn't made at the very front edge of the plate. It uses the ball crossing the midpoint, 8.5 inches from both the front and the back of home plate, as its reference plane. Cameras automatically recalculate each time a hitter steps in or crouches into their stance. That way, a 5'8" infielder and a 6'6" outfielder aren't judged by the same imaginary box. The system does the math instantly, giving players and fans a consistent zone pitch after pitch. Speed was the next hurdle. A tense at-bat can't afford to stall while the crowd waits. To solve it, MLB partnered with T-Mobile to build private 5G networks and testing, so Hawkeye camera data moves straight to the system and onto the scoreboard in seconds. On average, the process from challenge to verdict takes about 14 to 15 seconds. Fans see a clear graphic of the ball's trajectory almost immediately, keeping the energy alive and the moment intact. Early trials showed just how often that accuracy mattered. During spring training, teams challenged 1,182 calls and overturned 52.2% of them, more than half the time. AAA tests revealed that teams averaged about 4.2 challenges per game when ABS was available. That usage wasn't random. Pitchers, hitters, and catchers all deployed the system when the stakes felt highest. Catchers had the highest success rate, about 56%, since they track locations closest. Batters sat right at 50%, and pitchers succeeded less often at around 41%. The numbers prove two crucial things. First, umpires still get most calls right, and second, the system can catch the ones that swing critical at bats. Still, it isn't flawless. Even 12 cameras can struggle on a fastball darting toward the black of the plate. MLB and players accepted that small margin of error, trading perfect theoretical accuracy for something more valuable. Consistency everyone can trust. That's why ABS isn't replacing umpires but reinforcing them, reducing certain types of mistakes without stripping out the human presence calling the game. And it isn't just about correcting errors, it's also about the show. Whenever a challenge happens, the entire stadium sees the ball's actual path drawn on the video board. Final and indisputable. Arguments don't linger, fans don't leave guessing. Everyone shares the same truth in real time. But pulling off a system this advanced on the field was only half the battle. Getting all of Major League Baseball to agree it belonged in the first place took something far more complicated: political will. The push that finally secured approval for the automated ball strike system came down to one room: MLB's Joint Competition Committee. This group of 11 members holds the authority to decide rule changes, and its makeup shows exactly where the power lies. 6 representatives from team management, 4 active players chosen by the union, and 1 seat for the umpires, filled by longtime crew chief Bill Miller. On the surface, that arrangement looks balanced. In reality, it tilts heavily toward management, since the owners already hold a built-in majority. For ABS, the outcome reflected that. All 6 management representatives voted in favor, giving the proposal the foundation it needed from the start. The reasoning was straightforward. The system promised cleaner broadcasts, fewer on-field explosions, and protection against blown calls that could overshadow playoff games. Last season, more than 60% of umpire ejections stemmed from ball strike disputes. Cut those away and you reduce tension, while boosting credibility for fans in the seats, at home, and in betting markets tied to game outcomes. Players supplied the drama. Their 4 seats on the committee carried weight, especially because Commissioner Rob Manfred had stressed that ABS was moving forward on the players' terms. In practice, that meant the union spent months gathering input from veterans who had tested the system in AAA, spring training, and showcase events like the Futures Game. Austin Slater, one of the union's appointed reps, noted that in internal discussions, 22 of 30 player groups across MLB voiced support for the challenge model, correlating that majority wasn't about loving technology, it was about choosing the format that preserved the umpire's role while giving players control of when to trigger the system. The committee's player block featured a cross-section of respected figures: all-star pitchers like Corbin Burns and Zach Gallen, catcher Cal Raleigh, and Slater himself. Having names that spoke for both pitchers and hitters mattered. Together, they tilted the dynamic toward compromise, even if not every player rep agreed. Enough leaned yes to combine with the owner's block, and that sealed the outcome. What unfolded wasn't framed as technology wiping away baseball's traditions. Instead, MLB spun the vote as a negotiated modernization. By keeping the human umpire's call as the starting point, the system sidestepped fears about erasing the strike zone's rhythm or ending catcher framing entirely. Players had asked for a format that felt like a safety net, not a replacement, and the league delivered. Momentum also helped. This wasn't happening in isolation. After the sweeping 2024 changes, pitch clock, bigger bases, and defensive shift limits, the league had already demonstrated a willingness to reshape its product for pace, safety, and entertainment. ABS slotted neatly into that same trajectory, marketed as another piece of a modernization movement that still respected the sport's texture. For skeptics, that framing made the difference. Instead of being forced through by ownership alone, ABS emerged as a compromise with symbolic buy-in from every key stakeholder. By locking in a start date of 2026, baseball signaled that the most iconic judgment in the sport, the strike zone, was now open to technological assistance. And that decision leads directly to the biggest question left hanging over the game. If this much tradition can bend to innovation, how far will baseball really allow it to go? Baseball's decision on the automated ball strike system is less about gadgets and more about governance. It's a case study in how a legacy league integrates disruptive technology through negotiation, years of testing, and a hybrid design that protects tradition while solving real problems. Approved for 2026, ABS will give each team 2 challenges per game, triggered by a simple helmet tap from the pitcher, catcher, or hitter, with overturned calls preserved. The bigger takeaway: this is how industries modernize without losing their core. Which trade-off matters most to you? Player careers, broadcast clarity, or preserving human drama? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe if you want more case studies on the business of sports.